Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Tuya Koro More Caitanya Prabhu Tuya Koro More Toma Vina Kedoyano Jagata Samsare Toma Vina Kedoyalo Jagata Samsare. Don't be too quick coming in when you sleep, when you repeat. If you're not sure, just sing quietly, otherwise it throws everything out. Patita Pavana Hetu Tava Avatara Osamo Patita Prabhu Napahivaya Aha Prabhu Nityananda Premananda Suki Aha Prabhu Nityananda Premananda Suki Kripabala Kanakara Abhine Boro Tuki Doya Koro Sita Pati Advaita Gosam Doya Koro Sita Advaita Gosam Tava Kripa Ole Pai Caitanya Nitya Aha Svarupadhanam Rupa Raghunatha Bhata Yuga Shri Jivaha Prabhu Lokanath Doya Koro Shri Acharya Prabhu Srinivasa Doya Koro Shri Acharya Prabhu Srinivasa Rama Ramachandra Sangamage Narottama Dasa Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Daya Karo Moy Toma Vina Keto Yalu Jagata Samsare Toma Vina Keto Yalu Jagata Samsare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Prabhupada ki, Shri Srivas Thakur Abhibhav Mahamahotsav ki jai, Harinama Sankirtan ki jai, Prihat Mridanga ki jai, Go Premanandi, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Grand, all glories to Sri Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Vidaya Krishna Vistaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namani, Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vicharine, Nirvasesha Sanyavadi Pastichari Shatana. Hare Krishna. Unfortunately, I didn't have time this morning to select a verse from Shastra related to Srivas Thakur. There are many, and if somebody brings one volume of the Caitanya Charitamrita, I don't know if you have it easily available here, but if you bring volume Adi Lila, the first part of the Caitanya Charitamrita, it depends which edition you have, but something between chapter 7 and chapter 10, but I don't know what the different editions have the chapters in different volumes. I don't know what type of editions you have here. One volume, either chapter 7 or chapter 10, one or the other. Chapter 7 or chapter 10. Jai Jai Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Panchatattvatkam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Svarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakti Shaktikam, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna. So today being this appearance day of Srivas Thakur, who amongst Gaudiya Vaishnavas is known as one of the Panchatattva. Well, Panchatattva is pretty much unknown to the world in general, even other lines of devotion, other not mentioned in the original Shastras per se, although individually mentioned, of course, but as the five truths, Panchatattva, appearing along with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Radha and Krishna in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as we were hearing the other day, that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, form of Krishna, but combined form in mood, in essence, in the mood of Srimati Radharani, specifically. I'll find it. This is a new volume. What happened to the library? We used to have a library with all the books. This is, it's nice. It's a bit dirty, though. It's from the shop, is it? Anyway, it's a bit full. But otherwise, we used to have a library here. We used to have a library in Jagannath Mandir also, but they don't have it anymore. And I don't know if we have a library here either. Yeah, okay. I don't know where it is. I couldn't find it somewhere. Used to have a library up there. I don't know where it is now. Huh? Gurukul. In the Gurukul. Okay. You put it in a cabinet or something. It used to be easily seeable. So, okay, that's good you have a library. So, generally speaking, for class and things like that, you get the books from the library rather than from new volumes. Anyway, it's all these little soils, so it doesn't matter too much. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he came, his appearance in this world, which we've just honored, celebrated, the absolute reason for his appearance in this world was to experience himself in the mood of Radharani. And unique thing about the absolute truth is that the supreme origin of everything, expansion of everything, cannot experience in that mood or in that position the feelings of his devotees. It's quite unique. Of course, everyone's a part and parcel of the Lord, so everything's an expansion of him. But at the same time, that feeling of love, which is, say, exonerated to the full extent in the form of the feeling of separation from God, those who are, loving or lovers of the Lord, is not possible for the Lord to feel. Just like we can't exactly feel what our partner, man or woman, is exactly feeling. We have some degree of understanding. We can't exactly feel it. They feel. So when Rukmini said to Krishna, "My Lord, you cannot understand why." In this case, she was crying and concerned that he was going to leave her soon, so to speak. She never really leaves, but he appears to leave, and that mood is there, of intense separation. So when Krishna heard this, he said, "I can't understand it. I can't understand it. Then I must, somehow or another, I must understand this." Being the Supreme Being, naturally there's nothing he doesn't understand. Although it's said that his understanding is ever expanding because his expansions are ever expanding. It's never ending. Another aspect of the Absolute is unlimitedly expanding. It's inconceivable from a material point of view because we always put a space factor involved, or a time factor. But there is no such space or time factor on the spiritual platform. It's a different, you could say, a different element altogether. It's a different atmosphere altogether. It's not conditioned by time, space, and so on. It's expansive love, which ever increases. And the enjoying potency, the Lord's internal potency, is ever increasing to facilitate ever increasing pleasures. So Krishna's thinking, I must taste this, I must experience this, I must understand the love, particularly which Srimati Radharani has for me. So then, of course, he assumed, although it's eternal actually, an eternal form, he assumed the form of Caitanya Mahaprabhu Gauranga, the golden complexion, because Radharani is golden in complexion. And he assumed that form to taste that love of Srimati Radharani. And he appeared particularly in this form is eternal. There's a domain within the spiritual realm of Shetadvip, and therein are the pastimes of Caitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates. They're eternally taking place. But he manifested that within this realm, within the Jagat, the material realm, to taste, because as we may be aware that when Krishna left Vrindavan, he promised that he would return. He did, but in another sense he didn't. Not the way that the residents of Vrindavan had hoped. So he was returning also to, in a sense, to reciprocate, to repay that debt to the residents of Vrindavan, that mood which they were plunged into of separation. So he came to experience that mood, because if we don't really, without that experience, we can't really completely relate. It's like a person who's never suffered a particular kind of pain can't really relate to the pain of somebody who's suffering from it. When it's that experience, then one can really understand the heart, more so at least, of the other person, putting ourselves in the other person's shoes, so to speak. So Caitanya Mahaprabhu was in this mood. This was his inner mood. Externally, he appeared to be interacting with the here and now, with his associates around him in various ways, at various times. And with the general public, of course, there was another reason for his appearance at that time, in this particular age, which was to spread the Yuga Dharma, chanting of the holy names, which goes on every Kali Yuga, not just this one. But in other Kali Yugas, the mood is different. The mood is reverential. The Lord appears in the Lord Narayan form, the Gaur Narayan, also the form of Lord Narayan, but he teaches reverential worship of the Lord, or of himself, by spreading the holy names, but reverential. And we see this is prevalent to a large degree even in other sampradayas, especially the Sri Sampradaya, Madhva Sampradaya also. But there's no indication of this particular mood, this deep mood, what to speak of Vipralambha. The mood of Madhurya Ras is absent, almost. It's not absolutely exclusively absent, but more or less absent. Krishna displayed those pastimes when he was personally present 5,000 plus years ago. But at that time, not so many people who accessed it or had an understanding of it even then. So what to speak of now? Very confidential pastimes. Maybe his pastimes in Dwarka or Kurukshetra or some of his coward boy pastimes, motherly pastimes, were a little bit more relatable. But this highest form of pleasure, the highest form of spiritual interaction, of loving exchanges, was practically unavailable, practically unpresented. Presented, but with no ability to enter into it. So Lord Caitanya, because he himself is experiencing that, he appeared in this particular form for another reason, which is to give everyone an opportunity to absorb themselves in this mood of the highest loving exchange with Krishna, something which is never, as Rupa Goswami said, Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishna Krishna Caitanya Namne Gopishe. You, my Lord, are giving what was never given before. Other forms of God, Krishna said, Sarva Dharmam Parityagya, and so on. Surrender unto me. Always think of me. Worship me. Offer your homage unto me, and so on. And other forms of the Lord have different, let's say, time, place, and circumstance, different manifest, different moods, different reasons, and so on. But never before, Rupa Goswami said, have you appeared like this? As Krishna, he said, surrender. You're not even saying like that. You're just saying, take. I'm giving. Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, is giving freely what no one form of God has ever given before. He's giving the highest form of Krishna Prema, love of God, in Madhurya Ras. If you don't have it, you can't give it. The Madhurya Ras, in this case, is from the point of view of his devotees and enabling everyone, all the fallen souls, this opportunity to actually enter into this mood of his most confidential devotees. We don't need to take it, but he's offering it. It may not be our choice, it may not be our desire, but he's offering this freely to everyone. It's kind of like an inconceivable free handout. And, and through, how is he doing it? He appeared in this world along with his associates, particularly the Panchatattva, and by their dancing together, spreading the Sankirtan movement, they made it easy for all the conditioned souls to experience the four kinds of loving relationships with the Lord up to the point of Madhurya Ras. Maybe attractions otherwise, but that was made available by the presence of Lord Chaitanya. He opened up this otherwise, let's say, locked opportunity, this locked environment. It was not available. It started, we heard last week or a week before, Madhavendra Puri was the first one who indicated this relationship with Krishna and its accessibility, not just something you hear about, but accessible for souls, living entities to enter into. And then through Ishwarapur, and then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fully distributed this through the performance of Sankirtan. A very beautiful verse in the Madhya Lila somewhere, I think, maybe Antya, I can't remember, where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that he appears, obviously he didn't say it, he said that he appeared in this world along with his associates to experience this Krishna prema along with the congregational chanting of the holy name. The two go together. This is the actual, say, practice, the actual process of eligibility to enter into this relationship with Krishna, the pure absorption in congregational chanting. Ultimately, of course, everything depends on the Lord's mercy and the Lord's devotees' mercy, but from our side to absorb ourselves in congregational chanting of the holy name. It's through this process that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is distributing Krishna prema, free to all. And we have to embrace it with the absolutely surrendered or totally absorbed mood. But anyone, Jiva Goswami says, even if they're not pure, even if their understanding is not at all mature, anyone who engages in congregational chanting can experience the effect of this love. You feel some exhilaration, some joy, some whatever you want to call it, and it can go on and on and on, and it never stops. Unlike material pleasure, which has definitely a beginning and end, but spiritual pleasure doesn't. So in the performance of congregational chanting, we see that drunken people become very almost transformed, at least at the moment, at least during that moment. And Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement is thus its most merciful movement, an opportunity for everyone to drown in the ocean of love of God. So this, together with his associates, he distributed this prema even to the untouchables. And he wove a wreath, it's like a garland, of the holy name and Krishna prema, by which he garlanded the entire material world. Everyone has this opportunity. Even if we're still in the fly mentality, we can get some benefit from maybe just sitting on the garland or just smelling it or seeing it or something. Everyone gets the benefit to some degree at least. This is Lord Chaitanya's movement. So Srivas Thakur had a very significant part to play in this purpose of the Lord, to experience, not so much to experience Krishna prema, but to establish the Sankirtan, which is inseparable in reality. And we see that the Lord, when he comes in this world, in whatever form it is, preparations are made. He usually accepts eternal. He has his eternal, into the material point of view. Again, we tend to measure things according to our experience, according to how we speculate or see things, I guess. But the understanding, or the scriptural understanding, is that the Lord has eternal parents. Now, that again, well, that means they existed before he did? No. It's the mood of paternal affection. It's an eternal relationship of love. The devotee wants to serve Krishna as a parent. As a parent loves and serves a child, especially the mother, with all her heart. The child is more important to her than her very life, practically. She can't live without her child, practically. And this is a partial reflection of this spiritual mood of love. How Mother Yasoda, Nanda Maharaj, they are the original. They're you say the internal manifestation of this parental love. And when Krishna appears, they expand in various ways. Why? Also not just to satisfy Krishna, but also to give other living entities a chance to enter into that mood, if that so happens to be their bhav, or their mood. Not that we can become Nanda, but one can develop, or following in their footsteps, one can develop that mood of loving affection, of a parental relationship with Krishna. And the same with all the various relationships we see in this world. They have their origins in the spiritual world, even the unpleasant ones in this world, because they're devoid of relationship with Krishna. And the unpleasant ones in this world sometimes become the prominent aspect. In the spiritual realm they don't. They just embellish or enhance the primary relationship, just like spices enhance the taste of food, salt and pepper and what have you. You don't just eat salt and pepper, but in this world sometimes the pepper or the chili becomes the prominent rasa, and there's fire in relationships. It's there in the spiritual world, but only in a way which favors the primary relationship. And when reflected through the different modes of nature, it depends. In the mode of goodness, it will be much closer to the natural spiritual state. In the mode of ignorance, the secondary or the negative aspects of relationship often become more prominent. And thus we have wars, quarrels, misunderstandings, etc., etc. Compatibility. So as another aspect, of course, of the movement of Lord Caitanya is to awaken our relationship with Krishna. And only when we're rightly situated, even materially, when we're rightly situated according to our conditioned karmic natures, will one be, generally speaking, more peaceful, more at home, more happy. And one's relations with others is not so turbulent by any means. It doesn't bother you so much what others think of you and so on and so forth, or what they're doing, and envy and so on do not become much of a topic, even materially, or to speak of spiritually. So Srivas Thakur, Lord Caitanya, he sent, as Krishna does when he comes, many of his associates in advance. When we say associates, his eternal associates, his own internal, they're not jiva shakti. We're jivas, we're different tatashta shakti, we're different expansive nature, right? We're a different category. But those who are shakti tattva and the internal energies, they are actually more or less, you could say, an expansion of that particular loving exchange with the Lord, and personified to experience or to satisfy Krishna's desire to have those loving exchanges. And they also expand as and when needed. So, because their only desire is to satisfy Krishna's desire, so they may also expand. They're not limited, they're also of the internal potency. So they may also expand. And they expand in different forms. Just like Lord Balaram expanded as Nityananda, and he appeared before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 12 years before the Lord by our measure, for various reasons, setting the scene in various ways. And others, like his eternal parents, they appeared even earlier, of course. They manifested in this Leela as Mishra, Mother Sachi Devi, and even his grandparents, Nilabhar Chakravarti and others, also were his eternal associates appearing to set the way or prepare the way for Lord Chaitanya's appearance in this world. Srivas Thakur and Malini, his consort, and they also appeared in this world. And they appear in different forms. Now, Srivas Thakur in the spiritual realm, usually we just hear he's Narada Muni. Narada Muni is also appearing in a particular way for a particular purpose. He's non-different than Srivas Thakur. They're one and the same person, but even different purpose. I mean, Narada Muni, as we heard yesterday, opposite. He absolutely adamantly did not accept the Grihastha order of life. certainly wasn't against it. Most of his disciples he preached to were grihastas, or potential grihastas. He has so many disciples of that nature. We heard one yesterday, King Prachini who received instruction from Narada. So, but different purposes, that particular potency, internal potency of the Lord, expands in various ways, and this, from our perspective, appears in different forms which appear to be separated. Just like when Krishna comes, his eternal parents come too. Nanda and Yasoda, they're the eternal parents. But we hear in the Krishna book how Drona and Dara became the parents of Krishna. If you read it, you can see it's there. It's not explained what that means exactly. It is explained in the Bhagavatam. And if you read the purports of Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavatam, you'll see the explanation. They didn't exactly become Nanda and Yasoda. They entered into Nanda and Yasoda. Nanda and Yasoda don't become Nanda and Yasoda. They are eternally in that situation. And sometimes they expand, as they expanded, as Drona and Dara, partial expansion, and when they appear themselves in their full form during Krishna Lila, then that expansion, showing the mood, showing the way that we can become or enter into the mood of parental affection, Drona and Dara, then they entered back into those forms of Nanda and Yasoda from where they came. It's not that they became. And this applies to many of the pastimes which we see, and we wonder how that happens. Because we're seeing it from a mundane perspective. But anyway, what to do? So Narada Muni also is not a materialistic person. We hear stories of how he becomes Narada Muni and so on, in a similar light to what we've just mentioned. But he's eternal associate of the Lord in this eternal relationship. In the spiritual realm, he's also there. It's not that, he's eternal. Sometimes he manifests, and sometimes it's not manifested, so to speak, to our airplane. So Srivas Thakur, one of the Lord's internal associates, appeared prior to Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. And in his home, he had this particular pastime, just like Lord Caitanya. Later on, of course, he accepted the sannyas order of life, but for the first half of his life, he was in the Grihastha order. Of course, as a child, you can't exactly say that, but he was living at home with his parents until his father expired. But he was living at home, and he was married for the centuries of that time, and enjoying pastimes of various kinds in Navadvip. And his eternal associates were taking part in those pastimes according to the need at different times. Many of his coward boyfriends, for instance, when Lord Caitanya was a child, he was very much into boyish behavior and studies. When he grew a little older, he was really absorbed in deep study, for they didn't study the subjects we study today. Engineering and this, that, and the other. IT and, I don't know, all sorts of things, business management. He didn't study any of these things, even history and geography, all this stuff. He may know a little bit, you may need to know a little bit, where you are and how to get somewhere or something, but minimal. But now it's maximum. The whole society is geared towards material knowledge, practically, which has no value whatsoever in the bigger picture. Just a little knowledge of a little place, in a little space, in a little time. Has no real value. Ant knowledge, insect knowledge. So they learn different knowledge. Knowledge which will lead to the liberation of the soul from this material world. An understanding of the soul's eternal nature, the nature of the Absolute. This type of knowledge, or at least knowledge which will help one to elevate oneself within the material world. Not just in this lifetime to become a big lawyer or a big engineer or something, but the next lifetime after lifetime. More long thinking. So he was very much a great scholar, and all of his students, they were all his coward boyfriends. from Krishna Lila. They just expand into this particular pastime. They're enjoying a different. It is not the same. They're not in the cow pastures looking after the cows and the cows. They're enjoying debate and arguing and studying and what have you. They're enjoying it. There's a rasa going on there. It's not, comparable to our experience at school, but our experience at school is not quite the same by means of experience, by any means. It's a struggle, it's a strain, sometimes it's just, we don't like it, some things we like, some things we don't like. There's so much duality involved, mundane. But these pastimes are totally transcendental. So Krishna sent some of his fraternal associates to prepare the way, so that when he came, they were already there, and Srivas was one of them. And it was in Srivas's house, in one sense, that many of the external reasons why the Lord appeared, you could say, were going on. Srivas, being the eternal associate of the Lord, Advaita Charya also had appeared prior, many years prior. Haridas Thakur, many of them had appeared many years prior. They're all eternal associates of the Lord. So they appeared prior to the Lord's appearance. And in Srivas's house particularly, the few devotees who were there, in Navadvip at that time was a very religious place. Compared to today, we can't kind of relate very well how it was considered a very sinful place, but they were very religious. But they were mostly either, worshippers of the energy of the Lord, the worshipping Durga Devi and so on. They worshipping Shakta, the energies of the Lord, not the actual Shaktiman or the source of the energies. Most people do that. They worship nature, or they worship the goddess of the material world in her various forms, and so on and so forth, at least amongst the Hindus. So they were mostly like that, or they were very, very, materialistic scholars in some ways, very elevated in knowledge of Shastra, but not with any devotion, lacking devotion, wrangling scholars, as they call it. Very learned, but always arguing, debating over this and that. And Caitanya appeared to be one of them. He didn't appear to be behaving as a devotee, but before he actually appeared, Srivas Thakur, being an eternal servant of the Lord, and many others, also Gangadhar and Shuklambar and others who had appeared prior to Lord Caitanya, they were coming together in Srivas's house. You go to Mayapur on the way towards or after Yogapit, not too far after Yogapit, you'll see there's Srivas Angan, that's the house of Srivas Thakur, at least that's where it was. So they would gather there at Srivas Thakur's house, and they would chant together and glorify Krishna. But many of the local Hindus were very disturbed because they were, first of all, and we get the same thing here in Malaysia, sometimes the followers or the worshippers of the Shakti, of the material energy, in various forms manifested in various devis and devas and so on, are disturbed by the propagation of the love of the absolute truth in full. So they sometimes become a little disturbed. So they were very disturbed, not just because it was a different, emphasis, but because they were worried that because at that time, the Nawab Hussain Shah, who was ruling the state of Bengal, he was very unpredictable, actually, and that he could be very vicious sometimes. Sometimes he seemed otherwise unpredictable. So they were very worried that, because he put a rule out that, especially in that particular area, Chankazi, I don't know if he was there, maybe not yet manifested, but he put a rule there that, no public, external kind of worship, Hindu worship, maybe in a temple, in the home, but not making, noises and so on, loud, whatever. So they were very restricted. And they were making a loud noise in Srivas' house, singing very loudly. So many Hindus were complaining. Some of them even lodged complaints to the Nawab. It wasn't the Muslims, it was the Hindus who were complaining. So they were claiming that, you're going to be the ruination of our village. Because of you, the Muslims will come and destroy everything. It's all because of you. And they were threatening, we're going to kick you out of here, throw your house into the Ganga, and just get rid of you. You're a nuisance around here, making such a noise. As you could say all night long, sometimes they may have been chanting. Oh, so much annoyance you're causing around here, disturbing everything. So this came to the attention of Advaita Acharya, who was, of course, at some distance. Then he was residing in Shantipur just before the Lord's appearance in the world. And he was residing there with Haridas Thakur. By that time had reached Shantipur. And they were there, and the devotees in Navadvip, and Advaita Acharya became enraged when he heard what was going on. And he there and then declared that unless my Lord of my heart appears himself personally, I myself being, he was also expansion of the Purusha avatar, Mahavishnu, said, I myself will manifest my form, and with my chopper, my disc, I will sever all the heads of these atheists. He became quite excited. But then he begged the Lord, please come. And of course we hear the story of how he appealed to the Lord to please come. So another reason the Lord came was the appeal of his devotees, Paritranaya Saranam Vinashaya Tridushpitam. Krishna says that he comes specifically and primarily to reciprocate with his devotees due to the love for the devotees and the love of the devotees for him. He appears in this world. So due to the prayers or the calling of Srivas Thakur and Advaita and Haridas and others, he said he came, but we've heard of other reasons he came too already. So different reasons why the Lord appeared in this world. They all coincided with the time for the appearance of the Yuga avatar, so it all coincided. And then, of course, after Advaita Acharya's intensive appeals to the Lord appeared in the womb of Sachi Devi, in the heart of Jagannath Mishra, and then the womb of Sachi Devi, and eventually he appeared as the child Nimaya. When he appeared, Srivas Thakur and Malini, his consort, his wife, they were senior. They were living nearby to where Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi lived. So they were like the second parents of Lord Chaitanya. Mother Malini was like his second mother. So she would spend lots of time with Mother Sachi looking after baby Nimai, and like that. So they went through his childhood like that, like second parents. And Lord Chaitanya went through all of his various childhood pranks and pastimes and what have you for fun with his associates who appeared with him. But then the time came, Nityananda Prabhu, his expansion of Lord Balaram, his immediate, you could say, male expansion, had been away 12 years. When he was 12 years old, Lord Chaitanya appeared. At that time, Lord Nityananda left the area of Ekachakra and went on pilgrimage, until Lord Chaitanya decided now is the time to perform or to manifest the means to attain Krishna Prema, or the highest form of love of God, by the performance of Sankirtan. Lord Nityananda did not come back. But when he was aware that Lord Chaitanya was now, after taking initiation from Ishwara Puri, the seed which he planted anyway in the first place, you could say, in his devotees' hearts, was now taken back, or taken by Lord Chaitanya. Now was the time to start the Sankirtan movement. So immediately he returned to Navadvip to join Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in spreading the congregational chanting of the holy name. So he came back, they united, And then the congregational chanting began in Mass. And Srivas Thakur was the key player in this. It started in his house, Srivas Thakur's house, night time. All the devotees would gather and the numbers were increasing rapidly. And as Lord Chaitanya's magnetic attraction was captivating all kinds of jivas. So the kirtan began in the house of Srivas Thakur throughout the night. And then one of the reasons, because so many people could not, it was only performed amongst those who were pure, completely pure, and Yabilasa Tashram is just the beginning stage. But those who had the right mood of loving affection, because it's a reenactment in Gaur Lila of the actual Rasa Lila. You can't just walk in there and imitate. It's a state of, well, what can we say? Absolute love for Krishna, that mood. We have no idea of tasting. That's the mood. So in Gaur Lila, it's the same mood. And what is that mood? Everyone is simply existing to satisfy the heart of the Lord. There's nothing to do with satisfying our own heart, what I want, what I think. It's simply, it's like if we want something, we just wish it could be there. Well, that's the mood of the pure devotee. He just immediately assumes that spirit which satisfies that desire of the Lord. Absolutely, without any question of my own feeling, what I care. It doesn't enter in. We're always thinking in relationship to how I feel in this world. So then that's the pastimes in Srivas Anga, and also the same mood was there. Lord Chaitanya is in a mood of separation. You could say at this point it's not manifested externally, but he's absorbed in this mood of Sankirtan. And what his inner mood is, that's his own business. But every devotee who was there had to have, the compatibility, perfect compatibility. It's like sometimes you like to eat something, so, and someone gives you something else, it just doesn't satisfy your appetite. It doesn't satisfy your desire. If they give you exactly what you want, you feel pretty good. You feel happy, you feel contented, it's good. But if you don't get what you want, it's not very satisfying. So they're like that. Whatever Lord wanted, the devotee would assume that form or, say, state of consciousness exactly according to the heartbeat of the Lord. And same with music, you just play along with the leader. You don't make up your own, beat. Singing, music. The art is to understand, or at least to follow externally what's going on, not just to play your own thing, or sing in one's own tune or one's own speed, but to listen carefully and follow. It's the secret of devotional service, is hearing. It's not so much doing, it's hearing carefully from the right source. So they're all absorbed at night, but general devotees were not able to enter in because they still had some material affection. They were still somewhat attached. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very told, Srivas Thakur, very strictly, only my pure associates can enter into this, otherwise it disturbs the mood. It disturbs the mood because they have another agenda inside. It's incompatible. So then they started the external kirtan, external in terms of locale, and the congregational chanting outside began during the day and internal at night, very confidential at night. And this was going on. And of course it was, at that time, there were problems, no doubt about that, but basically speaking it was going on more or less at that time unimpeded. But when they started the external Harinam, Naga Sankirtan, of course, then there were problems. But we get, that's actually not directly, this is very directly related. When the external Sankirtan began, the local magistrate, at that time was Chandakazi, under the ministership still of Nawab Hussain Shah, he was informed that this Nimai, as he was known then, Caitanya, was gathering all the various Vaishnavas together, and they were going in the streets and dancing and chanting and making a hell of a din. And it was disturbing those Hindus who didn't appreciate it, of course. And many Muslims were also coming and reporting to the Qazi what was going on. So he sent his men, and sometimes he said he went with them, and they accosted the party. Lord Chaitanya wasn't with the party at that time. There were many parties going out. So he went out with his men, and they at Srivas's, near Srivas' house, right there. And they stopped the kirtan during the day. They stopped it. Said, if you dare do this anymore, we will convert you all into Muslims. Don't you dare do this. What right have you got to do this? You can't do this in public. No way. Stop. They even broke the mridanga. They broke the call. And then, of course, the devotees were very worried. Sometimes the authorities stopped, the present day also stopped the sankirtan and make similar threats. So they stopped and they went back to Lord Chaitanya and reported. They were very afraid of the Qazi. He was a powerful man. He was like the local king, you could say in one sense, the local leader of the local area, a Muslim. So they were very worried. And they got back, and then they told Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya became excited, very excited, in a kind of a, let's say, angry way, but very excited. And he ordered them to gather all the devotees together. And we'll see what type of Qazi this is. He gathered them all together. Thousands of devotees came together, all of them, in Navadvip. And then devotees, they came from unknown places. Nobody could know where they were coming from. Other planets, probably. Suddenly manifested there. And Lord Chaitanya then led this civil disobedience kirtan party, sometimes called, to go to see the Qazi and see what type of Qazi is going to stop this sankirtan. So they all went there, and that's another story. Millions and millions of devotees with torchlights. And eventually, of course, Qazi was actually overwhelmed and convinced by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He himself said, he made a declaration, no one in my, lineage, no one should prevent the Harinam Sankirtan forevermore in this area. So it became an open house. That's like the loft. It started in Srivas Thakur's house. And so then the kirtans were going on. But the nighttime kirtans were very, very seclusive, or very exclusive. They didn't include everybody. And many of the persons there who couldn't get in were feeling somewhat, slighted, not feeling good for various reasons. Some because they were condemning themselves, if only I was a pure devotee, I'm so fallen. And some, they were angry, why, who is he to keep me out, So there are different attitudes. Everything depends on attitude, you could say. So there was one time when one young Brahmin, he was very austere, young boy, not youth. He was very, very austere. Brahmin family, very pure in that sense. And he very austere. He just lived on milk and occasionally fruits. And he somehow or another, he had a close relationship with Srivas Thakur. I don't know if he had any relationship with the family direct, but he was very close. Srivas Thakur had a family, he had 5 kids, and what have you, family house. And he even had, in those days, they wouldn't have animals inside the house, but they would have their dogs and cats for various reasons. He said that even the dogs and cats in Srivas Thakur went back to Godhead. They were liberated because they were associated with Srivas. So this Brahmin wanted to enter in, and he said, just for a moment, if I could just see what's going on. I just heard about the dancing of Lord Chaitanya at night, and I just want to see it. Please allow me in. And he was very dear to Srivas. Srivas said, I can't do that. Lord Chaitanya has given strict orders. Please, please. He appealed again and again and again. Eventually, Srivas, being soft-hearted, said, okay, but You have to hide very carefully, otherwise there'll be a big problem if Lord Chaitanya sees you there. So he hid himself very carefully in the house. Then when the night kirtans began, Lord Chaitanya and his associates were swirling and whirling and flying in the sky practically in kirtan. But suddenly Lord Chaitanya stopped and said, Srivas, what's happening in your house? Why tonight we're not experiencing the usual ecstasy? Is there someone here who shouldn't be here? Srivas Thakur said, no, my lord. No, there are no atheists here. No. Only pure devotees are here. Srivas, tell me the truth. Tell the truth. There must be someone in your house who shouldn't be here. Well, maybe. I mean, there's this wonderful young brahmachari. He only lives by drinking milk. He begs so much to see you dancing. Srivas, I told you strictly no one should come in unless they're pure devotees. Throw him out immediately. So he had to grab him and throw him out of the house. And Lord Chaitanya, and the brahmachari, brahmachari, immediately was thinking, how fortunate I am. For a moment I saw the Lord's dancing. My life is perfect. I don't know how fortunate I am. He wasn't at all angry or feeling, why are you doing this to me? He was so grateful for that momentary opportunity. And Lord Chaitanya, because it's not on the plane of, speech or action exactly, it's on the plane of love. Lord Chaitanya could immediately experience his heart of this young man. And as he was about to be thrown out, Lord Chaitanya said, bring him back in. He is now qualified. He said, I must tell you, you cannot attain this level of devotional my association by drinking milk and eating fruit. It is not by austerity. You can't manufacture the way. So he entered in. Another time, there was another occasion when Lord Chaitanya stopped the kirtan and said, Srivas. Again he said the same thing. Is there someone in your house, or in this room, rather, in the inner chambers, where they're performing kirtan, who shouldn't be here? Srivas had no idea. My lord, I don't know anything. As far as I know, nobody's here. Search the house, search everywhere. Who's here? Someone must be here. He was not eligible. They searched everywhere. And he found his mother-in-law hiding behind some pots, witnessing it. Immediately, remove her. They took her out immediately. Exciting pastimes like this were going on in the house of Srivas Thakur, where they're experiencing this most intimate, internal loving rapport. You don't enter into the bedroom when someone's engaged in conjugal love between a husband and wife. You don't go in there. When a man and woman are having a loving relationship, you just keep away, even in the material world. So what to speak on it? This is not just a dance and a song. This is the most intimate loving exchanges going on. It's not like they're not all men. They may be male bodies, but the soul is not Prakriti exactly, but the female form in the spiritual realm in Krishna Lila. In Gaur Lila it's a little different. In Krishna Lila it's female forms. It's a completely different thing to what we visualize, imperfect perspectives. So another time, Lord Chaitanya stopped the kirtan again at night. He said, Srivas, has something happened in your house? Has something unbecoming happened? No, my lord, nothing. No. They carried on the kirtan, but Lord Chaitanya felt something not quite right. What had happened? Hours before, as one of Srivas Thakur's sons had died in one of the outer rooms, or whatever, one of the other rooms. Srivas was aware of it because he heard some wailing, some crying from the other members of the family. He went there immediately and said, stop crying. stop crying. Why are you crying? And then he explained that your son has passed away. How fortunate my son has passed away at this time. If your crying disturbs Lord Chaitanya's ecstasy, then I will throw myself in the river Ganga. Be quiet. No noise. So they had to restrain their crying with a state of devotion. And then, but still Lord Chaitanya could feel something had happened. And he said, come on, tell the truth. And it came to his attention. Immediately, Lord Chaitanya said, why didn't you tell me earlier? This is not, you should have told me immediately. This is a disaster. He immediately went there. The boy was lying, but he was dead. And Lord Chaitanya immediately said, why have you left? Why have you left? The boy came back to life, started to speak. And said, my Lord, my time in his body, according to your will, had finished. I am your eternal servant, and you may do as you like with me. And then he left. And so everyone was astonished to see this. So many pastimes. Lord Srivas Thakur, he didn't even bother begging. He was a Brahmin householder. Usually the Brahmins beg. He never even bothered begging. If it didn't come, it didn't come. Lord Chaitanya said, how do you survive like this? And then he explained, well, God will provide. He said, why don't you take sannyas? There's a mood of sannyas. And he said, oh. He just said, like, if food doesn't come after 3 days, 1, 2, 3, click like this. After 3 days, food don't come, no problem. I just tie a weight on my body and throw myself in the Ganga. I have no problem. Not that we should imitate these things, but completely dependent. He didn't worry, he knew them. Ultimately, the Lord provides for everyone. We think we're providing, but we're not. We choose the means by which the Lord provides us all. We choose the means to become an engineer, or a doctor, or a lawyer, or a teacher, or whatever you choose. Whatever you can get, in our case. And that way the Lord provides, but he's going to provide anyway. We all got our destiny, materially speaking, karma. So like that, Lord Chaitanya was stunned. I'm ever indebted to you. I don't know who has devotion like this, so dependent. So Lord Nityananda, because they're both acting in the role of guru. I mean, Srivas Thakur is the pure devotee of the Lord. He's behaving as a pure devotee. The internal energy of the Lord is Gadadhar Pandit and expansion of the Lord as Lord Nityananda. So Nityananda would stay with Srivas Thakur when he would come, when he was there, and then of course they would perform kirtan. So. Anyway, just a couple of little things about Srivas Thakur, his engagement in the congregational chanting, and the mission of Lord Chaitanya. So if we want to follow in the footsteps of Srivas Thakur, it means we have to absorb ourselves in selfless sankirtan, congregational chanting of the holy name, and not to make a show, not to enjoy myself, not to get free reactions, not to get followers, etc. Just because we want to please Lord Chaitanya. We want to satisfy Lord Chaitanya. He's very happy when he sees the Sankirtan mission spread. Srila Prabhupada, as the representative of Lord Chaitanya, of course, we know directly is very happy. That is ultimately the Lord is very happy. Let's do our best to increase the... Sometime I remember one of the most senior devotees in Buddhism said, the only problem with kirtan in our movement is there's not enough of it. There's not enough. There should be more kirtan. Should never stop. And we know that we do stop. We're still attracted to other things. One time Prabhupada said, actually all you need to do is chant. One devotee was sick. That all you need to do is chant. But you're not ready for that. Therefore I have to give you so many other things to do to keep you out of trouble. Otherwise chanting. But that's only when our heart is actually pure. Otherwise our mind is driving us all over the place. We're still attracted to so many things. Especially nowadays with social media. Tendency is to be almost addicted addicted. It's a very dangerous and difficult addiction. Much more difficult than intoxications, gambling and what have you. This addiction to social media is very detrimental, not only to ourselves but to others, because we spread, let's say, detrimental information much of the time. Diversive information which affects millions of people, in fact, can be affected. It's a challenge. Kali is one of Kali's most, you could say, effective means of introducing Kali, of the age of Kali, affecting everybody in the world. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Very nice. You imagine a world without mobile phones, without computers, without TVs. We can use all these things in Krishna's service. Sometimes they use us in their service. The art of devotion. Just, if we want to enter into that pastime, or these pastimes, then, to say we have to be freed of all these other pastimes, or desires for these other pastimes. We have to at least hear about the pastimes of the Lord. If we want to become a legible entrant and spend our time in kirtan more and more, chanting and hearing about Krishna, reading Shastra, chanting the holy names, hearing from others. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Haribol. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Srivas Thakur ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.